Welcome to Be Less Stupid. I'm your host, John Hotchkiss. Okay, so you want collusion with Russia? Here it is. I've got collusion with Russia for you. Okay? It's not very complicated, but it does take just a little bit of explaining. Here we go. Starting in 2005 and for the next 10 years, Paul Manafort worked as a political consultant for a guy named Viktor Yanukovych. He was the Ukraine's former prime minister. Yanukovych is a very bad guy, a Vladimir Putin ally, and a triple word score in Scrabble. While working for this Ukrainian thug and his political party, Manafort was paid millions and millions of dollars by a different Ukrainian, a guy named Rinat Akhmetov, a Ukrainian oligarch also sympathetic and friendly with the Russian leaders who supported Yanukovych and his political party, and is also a triple word score in Scrabble. Now, among the allegations in the 12-count indictment against Manafort is that he hid portions of the money that he got from the Ukraine from Uncle Sam in offshore accounts and didn't pay tax on it. Now, you need to understand that Manafort is loved and considered some kind of genius by the supporters of this guy Yanukovych, because even though Yanukovych was a thug and didn't speak well, he got Yanukovych elected to the prime minister by giving him advice like, stay on message, wear a suit, don't be a thug, and use the phrase, lock her up, even though his opponent wasn't a woman. Anyway, and speaking of his opponent, there are allegations that Yanukovych and Manafort may have had something to do with poisoning Yanukovych's political opponent, who, over the course of just a few days, went from looking like this to looking like this. Doctors determined he was poisoned with dioxin. So, Yanukovych is prime minister for a few years. Then, in 2014, there's a big popular uprising in the Ukraine, and the people overthrow Yanukovych because they realize that they elected John Gotti and not John Stamos. For the last 3 years, Yanukovych has been living in exile in Russia. Back in May, the Ukrainians started a trial against him in absentia. The Ukrainian state prosecutor's website says that Yanukovych committed treason by helping the Russian Federation and its representatives to violate the sovereignty and territorial integrity of the Ukraine. The trial's been delayed a bunch of times and is going to pick up again this coming December. Okay, so here we go. Big picture. Manafort spent 10 years working with and taking money from a Ukrainian political party and oligarchs who are friends and sympathetic to Putin and Russia. But for the last 3 years, the Ukrainian government has been leaning towards ties with the United States, with NATO, and the European Union. Okay, now, cut to March 2016. That's when Paul Manafort joined Trump's campaign. 2 weeks later, he's made campaign chairman. Then, 2 months later, it's the Republican convention. And then, just before the Republican convention, something odd happened that no one would have predicted. And no, I don't mean that Sean Hannity said something nice about a Mexican. Nor did Hannity suddenly extricate his grotesquely large head from up Trump's ample ass. No, what happened is this. A few days before the Republican convention, the Trump team made just one change to the party platform. It's a 66-page document with 2 columns per page. It's kind of a blueprint for what the party believes. Anti-abortion, less taxes, more guns. Think of it like a Republican Party Bible, only instead of turning loaves into fishes, Jesus takes away poor people's health care. Anyway, Trump's team makes just one change to this 66-page document. They now want to support gay marriage. I'm kidding. No, that's not the thing. The one thing that they change is the wording of the GOP support for the people of the Ukraine, who, when we last left them, had overthrown their douchebag dictator and were now supporting NATO and the European Union while simultaneously fighting the Russians who had invaded their country and annexed the Crimea in Ukraine's southern region. Now, this platform, before Trump's team changed it, originally calls for the Republicans to support arming the Ukrainian people with lethal weapons to fight back against Russia. Then, after Trump's team made their change, the language read, the GOP would support providing Ukrainian rebels with appropriate assistance. So, it went from arming Ukraine to providing appropriate assistance. It's like the difference between taking a guy who just slashed his arm with a chainsaw, right? It's gushing blood and his bone is exposed like after you gnaw the meat off a chicken wing. And instead of taking him to the emergency room, you tell him to kick some dirt on it, to man up, and to walk it off. So, How does softening the language in the GOP platform on assistance to the rebels in the Ukraine help Russia? Why does it matter if we help or don't help them? Well, there's a few reasons. There are large, untapped fields of natural gas in the Crimea, and Russia wants that gas. You see, right now, Russia provides Europe with the largest percentage of their natural gas. And if the Ukraine were able to monetize their natural gas, the Ukraine would become competition to Russia, and Russians would make less money. Second, Russia needs to maintain their image as a military and political leader in the region. The Russians believe that if America believes that Russians are determined to expand their territory into more of Europe, that they will then have leverage when it comes to exacting concessions, let's say on, for example, like trade. Third, by limiting Europe's access to the Ukraine, it prevents NATO from having a staging area on the Russian border should they ever think about invading Russia. And perhaps most important, as the Ukraine points its sails west to alliances with the US, NATO, and Europe, it continues to foment anti-Russia sentiment among its own people. And Putin is deathly afraid that revolutionary fever will become viral and infect the people of Moscow and St. Petersburg, which could then lead to work strikes and demonstrations, violence, and then perhaps worst of all, the violent overthrow of his regime. So here is the collusion, right? Trump goes soft on helping the people of the Ukraine fight Russian influence. Sessions, Kushner, Flynn, Manafort, Carter Page all secretly promise Russian envoys, lawyers, and ambassadors who all directly report to Putin to reduce the severity or remove Obama-era sanctions during a Trump Tower meeting and at the Mayflower Hotel. And in exchange, the Russians agree to manipulate social media and get Trump elected president. That is your collusion. So, when you meet people who say the indictment of Paul Manafort doesn't touch Trump and it doesn't prove collusion with Russia, please show them this video. That's it for this episode of Be Less Stupid. Remember, please share it on social media. And remember to like our page on Facebook, so that way you'll get new videos in your timeline. And for the time being, it's all still 100% free. And remember, if you'd like to advertise on this program, you can reach us at info@belessstupid.com. That's info@belessstupid.com. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time on Be Less Stupid.